Campfire Classics is a classic literature podcast. However, your hosts will occasionally use not-so-classy language and immature humor to describe very mature situations. As such, listener discretion is advised. Hi, I'm Ken Sandberg.
And I'm Heather Michelle Lawler.
Welcome to Campfire Classics, where we try to read those books that look really good on your show.
It's almost turkey day, eat up your turkey day, turkey, gobble, gobble. I don't know what happened at the end. I think I ate too much turkey.
I was going to say, either the turkey made you violently ill, or the turkey was possessed by an evil demon.
I like possessed by an evil demon.
Yeah?
Yeah, that's what happened. That's definitely what happened.
All right.
The turkey lost its mind. It got mad bird disease.
Because it was eating other turkeys?
Yes. Cannibal turkey.
Cannibal turkey. So this year we will be celebrating Cannibal Turkey Day.
Cannibal Turkey Day. That only happens in like mountain towns. If you're from Colorado, you understand probably.
Happy Cannibal Giving. Thanks, Cannibal?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just thankful that we're here sitting in a closet recording this podcast.
Yeah. That's good. I like
Is that good?
Cool. I like that. That's a good thing to be grateful for. Hey, listener, what are you grateful for today? I know sometimes the world gets crazy and it's hard to take a second to stop and think about just one little thing you're grateful for. I've been actively attempting to find one thing every day this month. There were a couple of days there where it got tricky.
Yeah, it's been a hell of a month, y'all.
If you follow me on social media, you already know that I spent one day actively thankful for you. Thankful for our listeners and this podcast, because it's, sometimes you just need that sort of thing to keep you motivated through the day. So what is it that you're thankful for? Please reach out and let us know. And when you reach out, at 5050artsproduction@gmail.com, our email address, or to any of our social media, just look for Campfire Classics Podcast.
Except for X, because fuck them.
Yeah, although I have given us an account now on Blue Sky.
Oh, good.
We have one. We have not posted anything on it, but we have a Blue Sky.
I didn't even know we did. I thought about that, but I quite literally was like, I don't know if I want another social media, but yes.
Anyway,
great.
It's there.
Is it just Campfire Classics Podcast?
Yep, if you look for Campfire Classics, you'll find us there too. And so we do actually read these things. In fact, we had a listener this last week chime in on the debate on whether or not gasoline is a pleasing smell.
Sure did. And guess what? I'm not alone. I knew I wasn't. But they also loved rubbing alcohol, which is not one of my favorite smells. But see, that's the thing, is everyone has their own thing. But gasoline, super into it. See, I'm not as weird as you thought, Ken.
That is explicitly not true.
I just have fellow weirdos with me. But yes, so thank you for writing in and saying, yes, cool gasoline. Also, yes, the world is weird, but in so many ways. But yes, we do read these messages, so send them in, and we love to hear that you are wanting to participate. We like participation.
Yeah.
We might even send you a participation trophy.
Which is really what the world needs more of these days, is more participation trophies.
I mean, fuck, if you're getting out of bed these days,
you deserve a fucking trophy.
A participation trophy.
A prohibition trophy?
A prohibition trophy. No prohibition right now. I'm sorry. No, that's not. I know it's the 20s, y'all, but let's not. Let's not.
Anyway, what we do here at Campfire Classics is attempt to lighten the burden of life.
Yes.
About an hour at a time.
I was about to say nice segue, and then you actually made it a nice segue. So I'm.
See, I know what I'm doing.
That was good.
I talk funny like sometimes. So yeah, we do. We're here to to make your day a little bit better. And the way we do that is by cold reading short stories that we have pulled from the public domain. Public domain, for those of you who might be unaware, especially if you happen to be a regular listener who has never bothered to look this up, because I don't think we've ever defined it.
I mean, I just assume people that would listen to this podcast know, but assumption only makes an ass of both of us. So please do explain.
Yeah, so the public domain just means that a work of art, a created piece, is no longer under copyright in the United States. That means either that the work came out 95 years ago or more, or that the author, the creator of the work, died 70 years ago or more. Those two things, and then there are other loopholes too. Sometimes something was never copyrighted. If it came out in
copyrighted, copywritten,
copywrote. Yeah.
I saw someone say casted today, and I was like, no, it's cast. You have cast the show, not casted. Please don't say that.
Copyrighted. Or if the copyrition happened during there was a period of time I can't remember if it was starting in the late 40s or early 50s and then running through sort of the mid late 60s where if you got the rules around copyright changed, and so if you sent in the copyright then and then didn't re-up it, then it lapsed early. Whatever, it doesn't matter. Point is, anyway, it means we can do this shit for free without getting sued. It also means that most of the stories we read here are very old, 100 years or more, which means a lot of the language is funny, which means we get to laugh at a lot of penis jokes. So that's what we do. We cold read these things sight unseen and laugh at all the juvenile humor that was probably very serious, important literature.
I mean, we are the Beavis and Butthead generation, so.
Yes, we are the Beavis and Butthead of classic literature.
Oh my gosh. We've been missing our tagline the whole time.
Anyway, this week I have chosen a story for Heather to read. I think it's going to be a good one. I say this having absolutely no reason to say it. I don't know anything about the story. But I did do a little bit of research into the author, and these are the fun facts I'm about to give you to put you in the mood for today's story.
Fun facts.
This week's author is French.
Oh, fucking shit.
Just thought I'd get that out of the way.
God, why do you hate me?
I don't. I love you. And more importantly, I love our listeners.
God damn it. I'm so scared. I'm just hoping he's French, or she's French, so they wrote it in French, and then it got translated to English, so no one's actually saying anything French in the story. That is my hopes. And dreams.
I haven't read enough of the story to know if the second part of that statement is true, but definitely our author wrote in French and his works were translated into English.
All righty, well then.
So there's that.
Okay, there's hope.
Anyway, born Pierre Jules Théophile Gautier in 1811 in the part of France that had until recently been called Gascony, which is where D'Artagnan is from in Three Musketeers. He became known professionally by just his last couple of names, Théophile Gautier.
Okay, thank God. So hopefully when I read the story, that's all it's.
Yeah.
I was literally about to say, wow, I'm going to have to do like 12 takes just to read the author's name when we start the story.
Yeah. There is so much information on this guy. Apparently, he is a really big deal amongst people who know about French literature.
His last name's Gautier?
Yes.
I mean, that's the name of that band that did And You're Just Somebody That I Used to Know.
Spelled
somebody.
differently, but yes.
Okay.
Yeah. But anyway, so he was a poet, he was a dramatist, he was a novelist, he was a journalist, and he was an art and literature critic.
Okay.
His work has been praised by some of the biggest of bigwigs in literature, including Balzac, Baudelaire, Ezra Pound, Marcel Proust, and Oscar Wilde.
Interesting.
So, yeah, like when I say this guy's a big deal, I mean he's a big deal.
So some hoity-toity folks.
Yeah.
And now that we're doing our first watch of Gilmore Girls, we know that Lorelai does not like Proust.
She tried.
She did try.
She tried. So he seems to have been in every way exactly what you want a French artist of the time to be. We'll start with the fact that he lived through the French Revolution of 1830, the June Rebellion of 1832, which is what they're fighting in Les Mis, the French Revolution of 1848, and the Franco-Prussian War of 1870.
All right. So he had a lot to write about.
So, yeah, an exciting time to be a Frenchman.
Exciting time to be a French poor person.
Yeah.
Well, not exciting, but like activity filled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As a young man, he was described as tall and robust. His hair was a wayward flood. His eyes were blue and victorious. He was the image of young France.
Did he write himself a description?
No, this was, hang on, I actually have
Like,
who wrote that.
Is that in his obituary?
Yes. No, this is actually the account by Edgar Saltus.
Okay.
Who is an American writer.
Oh, okay, cool.
This is a picture of him as a young man.
Yes, he looks. You know what? That's exactly kind of what I wanted him to look like.
He kind of looks like a French vampire.
Yes.
Yeah. While we're there, this is a picture of him a little later in life.
Ooh, now he looks like a writer. There it is. There it is. He's like, looks like he hasn't showered in a week. Definitely hasn't shaved his face in a long time. Not because he chooses not to, but because he just doesn't have time between writing and drinking and lading.
And hunting wolves and his part-time job as a raccoon wrangler.
Yeah. What?
I don't know. Anyway.
I want that job.
Edgar's description continues. His strength was proverbial. He outdid Dante.
Oh.
He swam from Marseille to the Chateau d'If and then swam back. Women fell in love with him at once.
Of course they did. He's a vampire.
He was also apparently famous, if that's the right word, for wearing a bright red waistcoat.
Okay.
So he was
flamboyant.
Very flamboyant.
Very, very metrosexual
dramatic.
Before it was cool.
Yeah. He loved the theater.
Cool.
In particular, the ballet. In fact, he helped conceive and write the ballet Giselle.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. He put together the
like storyboard.
Yeah.
Nice.
He wasn't a composer. He didn't write the music, but yeah.
No, I knew people forget that things without text and stuff
you still need a story writer.
You still have to have a playwright or something because you got to have a story that makes sense.
He considered the woman who danced the lead in Giselle, Carlotta Grisi, to be the love of his life.
Oh.
And when she turned him down, he started sleeping with her sister, Ernestina.
Oh shit. All right. So we got some drama.
I mean, he's French.
I mean, yeah, he's French, but damn. First of all, I wonder if the sister knew that he was in love with her sister.
Or cared.
Or did she also hate her? Did she hate her sister and was like, I'm gonna get ya?
Yeah. Anyway, they had 2 daughters together.
Oh.
The sister and Mr. Théophile.
If you can't be with the one you love the one you're with, man.
Yep. He believed that art exists for its own sake and should not be confined or judged by social mores or expectations. He, in fact, wrote what became the manifesto for the l'art pour l'art, or the art for art movement.
Okay.
This was in contrast to the other prevailing belief about art at the time, which was that it's not art if it can't be viewed through a social or political lens. That's not art. It's just decoration or trifles.
Okay.
Both of which are points of view that I can see the validity to.
Yeah. I mean, it's the eternal question. What makes it art?
Why is it art?
Is it art because someone says it's art, or is it art because of who made it? Is it art because of how it like the technique of it. Yeah. What is art?
Certainly the art for art's sake is the much more French understanding of art. The German take is much more.
Yeah.
I mean, Brecht literally said, art is not the mirror we hold up to nature, but the hammer we use to shape it.
Yeah. Yeah. Ooh.
It's a good line, right?
I've heard that line before. I'm just so proud that you just pulled that out of your ass like that. MFA.
But my favorite thing about this guy is that he fucking loved cats.
Yay!
In fact, he wrote about his cats extensively over the years, especially in his book, My Private Menagerie.
Oh, I wanted it to be called My Private Pussy. But
I don't think the double entendre there works in French.
No, probably not. My Private Menagerie of kitty cats.
His first cat was named Childebrand, who he described as having green almond-shaped eyes and short fawn-colored hair with black stripes. Don Pierrot de Navarre was another one of his cats.
Of course it was.
His name was initially Pierrot, and then he expanded the name.
Pierrot, was he a white kitty?
I don't remember.
Pierrot
I didn't get.
is the white clown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't get the physical description. I didn't copy it down.
It is a white kitten.
But he was a longtime companion, and he would sit and purr while Gautier would write.
Okay, so he's not a vampire; he's a witch or a wizard, and that's his familiar. He loved cats.
And then we come to Madame Théophile.
Okay.
A cat who he named after himself.
He just wanted to be a damn cat. He's like, these people suck. I get it.
One day, she was introduced to his new parrot, and they were having a stare down, and she started stalking this bird like it was just a sort of fancy-dressed chicken, right? Going like, dinner time.
Yeah.
Apparently sensing the danger, the parrot said in a bassy French voice, "Have you breakfasted, Jacot?" It continued to talk to the cat, who slowly seemed to realize that the strange feathered creature was a person and not a snack. And the cat slinked away to rethink its life choices.
That bird just fucking like punked that cat.
Yep.
He was like, I don't know what you're looking at. I don't know what you are. What are you thinking? I won't feed you tonight. I love that story. I think it was probably a little less dramatic in reality, but I love it.
The only account of it is his account. He actually gave much more thought and personality to both creatures than what I gave in my recap here.
Of course he did. It's like the original fucking Sylvester and Tweety Bird.
Yeah, very much, yeah. Anyway, that's a little bit of a crash course on who Théophile Gautier was. This week, you'll be reading his short story from 1840 entitled The Mummy's Foot.
Ooh.
Let's start this fire.
Yeah. The Mummy's Foot by Théophile Gautier. I had entered in an idle mood the shop of one of those curiosity vendors who are called marchands de bric-a-brac in the Parisian argot, which is so perfectly unintelligible elsewhere in France. First of all, I just slayed that French.
Sure
and did. Second of all, okay, so you're basically at a flea market. Yes?
Yes.
It's the random shit.
Curiosity vendors, the marchands de bric-a-brac, the merchants of
the
knickknacks.
Street of knick-knack, yeah. You have doubtless glanced occasionally through the windows of some of these shops, which have become so numerous now that it is fashionable to buy antiquated furniture, and that every petty stockbroker thinks he must have his chambre à mieux âgée. What's that mean? Something chamber pot? Something? Chambre? Is that?
Literally, his bedroom in the Middle Ages.
Okay. Okay. Oh, like vintage. Is that what it means? Like, buy all these things in, like, the vintage shop or the bric-a-brac, like, random antiquities, the antiquated stuff. So it's like, it's not how everyone's fucking going to Goodwill now and taking all the good stuff because now it's fashionable.
Yeah, that's what it is.
I mean, that's literally what it is. How I've been complaining that I've been going to Goodwill since I was in high school. Lindsay knows we used to go, Ragstock and all those places. But like now it's cool to go to Goodwill. So now everyone, it's like the
now
thing.
they're like $20 plates there. And
I know.
shit.
What the fuck, man? Get your shit together, Goodwill. Anyway.
Or more appropriately, let your shit fall apart, Goodwill. You're not supposed to be this organized and charging us money.
Well,
We're supposed to find good shit for nothing.
Hey, rich people that can afford other things, go to like consignment stores. Don't go to Goodwill. Just saying. Anyway, okay, so now it's fashionable to go to these places. There is one thing which clings alike to the shop of the dealer in old iron, the wareroom of the tapestry maker, the laboratory of the chemist, and the studio of the painter. In all those gloomy dens where a furtive daylight filters in through the window shutters, the most manifestly ancient thing is dust. The cobwebs are more authentic than the gunip laces, and the old pear tree furniture on exhibition is actually younger than the mahogany which arrived yesterday from America.
I believe it's Gwimp.
Gwimp?
Not
I didn't
gunip.
know. I like gunip laces.
I like gunip.
I didn't want to say gimp.
Well, which actually seems to be how it's pronounced.
Wait, it's pronounced gimp?
Yep. Gimp, but it's spelled Gwimp with an extra U in there. Twisted silk, worsted or cotton with cord or wire running through it.
Okay.
Used chiefly as upholstery trimming. So it's, that like stiffened upholstery lace.
Fancy lace. All right. The warehouse of my bric-a-brac dealer was a veritable Capernaum.
Capharnaum?
Capernaum?
Capharnaum. A confused jumble.
All right. So, a flea
Or
market.
Capharnaum.
A veritable Capharnaum. The warehouse of my bric-a-brac dealer was a veritable Capharnaum. All ages and all nations seemed to have made their rendezvous there. An Etruscan lamp of red clay stood upon a Boule cabinet with ebony panels brightly striped by lines of inlaid brass. A duchess of the court of Louis XV nonchalantly extended her fawn-like feet under a massive table of the time of Louis XIII, with heavy spiral supports of oak and carven designs of chimeras and foliage intermingled.
So this place is eclectic and confusing.
It's like, it's the best fucking antique shop you've ever been in.
Yeah.
It's literally like clutter. It's like all the antique shops I used to go to in England with my parents when I was a kid. Like, it was just like, you could not, if you had a backpack on or a purse, you were probably going to knock something over. But like, if you really looked, there's some cool shit. Upon the denticulated shelves of several sideboards glittered immense Japanese dishes with red and blue designs relieved by gilded hatching side by side with enameled works by Bernard Palissy representing serpents, frogs, and lizards in relief. Wait, like they're peeing?
Yes, yeah. So you've got Japanese dishes with enameled peeing frogs.
You know
I actually have no idea how serpents pee.
Like how snakes pee?
Yeah.
How do snakes pee? That's because I gave fun facts about snakes last week.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
I assume
they have to.
I assume that they have a cloaca,
which is like a poo and pee hole.
which is a hole used for everything.
For all, well, they have a mouth.
They have a separate
and then
mouth,
they have
yeah.
one in their back side or somewhere.
That is for pooping and peeing and sexual reproduction, and it's the everything hole.
Well, when you say it like that. It's just
Stop. That's almost too sexy.
That's so hot. This is my everything hole. How do snakes flirt? Well, this is my everything hole.
Hey, want to come back to my hole and see my hole?
It's just getting grosser. So if anyone knows how snakes relieve themselves, email us. Somebody has to have had a pet snake and our listeners.
The greater the detail you can go into, the happier we will be.
Yes, if you could send a video of some sort.
Please don't send a video. No, really, please don't send a video because we can't read a video on next week's episode. However, if you can give an uncomfortably detailed description.
Yes, we would love that, of the digestive system and reproductive system of snakes. The things you hear on this podcast, y'all.
Tell me about your everything hole.
I think we found the title. From disemboweled cabinets escaped cascades of silver lustrous Chinese silks and waves of tinsels with an oblique sunbeam shot through with luminous beads, while portraits of every era in frames more or less tarnished smiled through their yellow varnish. The striped breastplate of a damascene suit of Melanie's armor glittered in one corner. Loves and nymphs of porcelain, Chinese grotesques, vases of celandine and crackleware, Saxon and old Severus cups encumbered the shelves and nooks of the apartment.
Okay, dude, we get it. It's full of clutter.
This
dude needs a fucking maid.
I want to go shop there so bad. All this is making me want to do is go to a thrift store. I have a problem. The dealer followed me closely through the tortuous way contrived between the piles of furniture, warding off with his hand the hazardous sweep of my coat skirts, watching my elbows with the uneasy attention of an antiquarian and a usurer. So yes, it is one of those rooms where you cannot have a purse on, and you might knock shit over if you have, a nice badonkadonk.
It's the way the shopkeepers at corner bodegas all look at me when I try to go grocery shopping in New York.
And they're like, oh God.
He's gonna knock shit over.
Oh no. I want to go shopping. Okay. It was a singular face, that of the merchant, an immense skull, polished like a knee, and surrounded by a thin aureole of white hair, which brought out the clear salmon tint of his complexion all the more strikingly, lent him a false aspect of patriarchal bonhomie, counteracted, however, by the scintillation of two yellow eyes which trembled in their orbits like two louis d'or upon quicksilver. I don't know what that sentence just said.
He was mostly bald.
Okay.
He has a fringe of white hair that made him look really friendly and was counteracted by bright yellow eyes.
Okay. The curve of his nose presented an aquiline silhouette. His hands, thin, slender, full of nerves which projected like strings upon the fingerboard of a violin, and armed with claws like that on the terminations of bat wings, shook with senile trembling, but those convulsingly agitated hands became firmer than steel pincers or lobster claws when they lifted any precious article. An onyx An oinks cup.
An oinks cup. So he really does. It's bric-a-brac. He has little pig-shaped cups.
Yeah, like little
Probably has elephant salt and pepper shakers.
I was gonna say salt and pepper shakers of all animals.
Yep.
So this guy is like fragile as fuck, except when he picks up his goodies. An onyx cup, a Venetian glass, or a dish of Bohemian crystal. The strange old man had an aspect so thoroughly rabbinical and Kabbalistic that he would have been burnt on the mere testimony of his face 3 centuries ago.
Ooh, he looks like a warlock. He looks like a witch.
Yes. Will you not buy something from me today, sir? Here is a Malay crest from a blade undulating like flame. Look at those grooves contrived for the blood to run along, those teeth set back so as to tear out the entrails in withdrawing the weapon. That's fucked up, dude. Why did he just pick up a murder weapon? It's like when fucking Doug gave us that knife to have in our house. It's like, I think this probably killed people. I'm like, I don't want it.
Don't want this here. Hey, you want to buy some stuff for me today? Oh, hey, you'll love this. It's a knife with a blood gutter that's used for ripping out the intestines.
It's a murder knife.
This won't just kill you. It'll hurt.
It's even creepier because he's old man voice. So it's like, would you like to buy something today? How about this knife? Jesus Christ. It is a fine character of ferocious arm and will look well in your collection. This two-handed sword is very beautiful. It is the work of Joseph de la Hera. And this Kalishimard, with its fenestrated guard, what a superb specimen of handicraft. Good luck putting that all together.
He's just like, hey, look, I got lots of... You look like a guy who appreciates swords.
Clearly he knows him. I mean, they're friends. Like he said, this is my favorite shop. Yeah. I love this guy. And so he knows what he collects, and apparently he collects things that chop things off. So, okay. He's a good guy to have around. Both of these guys are really good to have around in the zombie apocalypse. Yeah. No, I have quite enough weapons and instruments of carnage.
So he was right.
Wow, okay.
No thanks. I'm still working on that guillotine I bought last week.
Too soon? I mean, this...
French Revolution?
Yep. I want a small figure, something which will suit me as a paperweight, for I cannot endure those trumpery bronzes which the stationers sell, and which may be found on everybody's desk. Yeah,
I need to be special. I'm a hipster.
This guy really loves his thrift stores. I get it, dude. I have never related to a character so deeply.
We're going to hope that doesn't come back to bite you.
I have a feeling he's going to buy a mummy's foot.
I mean, spoilers.
This is not going to go well. And then he calls this man an old gnome. Here we go. The old gnome. Rude. The old gnome foraged among his ancient wares and finally arranged before me some ancient bronzes, so-called at least. Fragments of malachite, little Hindu or Chinese idols, a kind of pusa toys.
Really? So it's that kind of shop.
So he wants him to use a pussy toy as a paperweight.
I mean,
they make them in glass and shit.
And they do tend to be reasonably heavy.
A pusa toy.
Oh, it's a Weeble.
Like a plushie, like a pussy. No, like a Squishmallow?
No. Like Weebles wobble, but they don't fall down.
Oh, it's like those Russian dolls that like bounce back and forth.
Yeah, like they're often like clowns or whatever, and you can push them over and they bounce back up.
Oh, it's like those ducks that go. Okay.
It's that's the Pusa toy.
Pusa toy
is the French name for but it's like a desk version.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. A kind of Pusa.
I don't know.
Okay, we're going to call it Pusa toy. A kind of Pusa toy in jade stone, representing the incarnations of Brahma or Vishnu, and wonderfully appropriate to the very undivine office of holding papers and letters in place.
I suppose something that keeps itself upright is also something you want in that other kind of toy.
Well, yes. So it might just be... Maybe it's a multitasker. Yep. I was hesitating between a porcelain dragon, always a good choice, all constellated with warts. Ew, maybe not. Ew.
A warty porcelain dragon.
A warty porcelain dragon? What happened to him? I was hesitating.
Somebody used him as a Pusa toy.
Ew, syphilis. I mean, that is, we're in France in the 1800s?
Yeah.
Okay. I was hesitating between a porcelain dragon, all constellated with warts, its mouth formidable with bristling tusks and ranges of teeth, and an abominable little Mexican
Fetish.
A Mexican fetish?
Yeah, you know.
What?
The way they all have.
What? Is it actually pronounced fetish?
It is, but it doesn't mean the same thing.
What does it mean?
It's like an idol, an image,
like a carving,
a little carving
person.
or a tiny. Yeah.
Okay.
it's like a symbol that represents something else.
This is getting dirtier and dirtier. We got pusa, we got Mexican fetishes.
Mexican fetish.
Jesus Christ. This store is definitely full of fun. A Mexican fetish representing the god
Vitsili Putsili?
Vitsili Putzili?
That's how I would say it.
That sounds like a fucking acrobatic act in the 50s in, like, Vegas. Come see Vitsili Putzili, yes.
Say it fast enough and it sounds dirty too.
Well, yes.
I'm not even going to try any of these many spellings and pronunciations of the name, but basically the god of sun and war.
Okay.
In the Aztec religion.
So I'm going to apologize in advance for anyone who speaks Spanish or what the Aztecs spoke back in the day. Representing the god Vitsili Putzili au natural. So he's naked.
A naked war god.
A naked war god. When I caught sight of a charming foot. Wait, what the fuck?
So he's got that kind of fetish too.
Okay, so he's looking at a warty dragon. He's looking at a naked god, and then he's like, foot.
Foot.
We know what kind of store this is. I still want to go shopping. When I caught sight of a charming foot, which I at first took for a fragment of some antique Venus. He thought it was a lady's foot.
Sexy foot.
Yeah. Little did he know. Here we go. It had those beautiful ruddy and tawny tints that lend to Florentine bronze that warm, living look so much preferable to the gray-green aspect of common bronzes, which might easily be mistaken for statues in a state of petrification. Satiny gleams played over its rounded forms, doubtless polished by the amorous kisses of 20 centuries, for it seemed a Corinthian bronze, a work of the best era of art, perhaps molded by Lipsius himself.
Ooh, so for centuries, people have been kissing this foot.
Licking this foot. I mean, jeez.
Kiss the foot.
Kiss the foot. That foot will be...
Yep.
I hope I never walk into a store and say these words, but he says, "That foot will be my choice," I said to the merchant, who regarded me with an ironical and saturnine air and held out the object desired that I might examine it more fully. I was surprised at its lightness. Well, yeah, because it's a fucking, like, mummified foot, dude. It's not metal.
It's not metal.
Yeah. And the next line. It was not a foot of metal, but in sooth, a foot of flesh. Oh my God, I hate this so much. Gross. It's the worst taxidermy thing ever. God damn.
Here, you want a taxidermy foot? Oh yeah, I'd love a rabbit's foot. They're good luck. I didn't say rabbit.
Oh, I'm glad we talked about cannibals earlier. We're now got this man holding a man's foot.
I don't think he's planning on eating it.
Who knows what's going to happen. If there's a mummy's foot and we're only this far into the story, something bad's going to happen. This is not about the shopping journey. This is about what happens after the shopping journey.
Yeah, we sure did take a long time setting up the shop.
It was not a foot of metal, but in sooth, a foot of flesh, an embalmed foot, a mummy's foot. The title of the story.
Dun, dun, dun.
On examining it more closely, the very grain of the skin and the almost imperceptible lines impressed upon it by the texture of the bandages became perceptible. The toes were slender and delicate and terminated by perfectly formed nails, pure and transparent as agates. I hate this so much.
Statistically, there is one person listening to this
That is
who
so
is
turned on.
rock hard right
I know.
now.
I was going to say, can we just entitle this story Foot Fetish's Dream? Oh, God. The great toe, slightly separated from the rest, afforded a happy contrast in the antique style to the position of the other toes and lent it an aerial lightness, the grace of a bird's foot. The sole, scarcely streaked by a few almost imperceptible cross lines, afforded evidence that it had never touched the bare ground and had only come in contact with the finest matting of Nile rushes and the softest carpets of panther skin. Well, fuck. Okay, so this is like a rich person's foot. We've all seen The Mummy.
Just
leave it alone.
curses are real, y'all.
Also, I'm not even freaked out by feet, and that was really gross to read.
There's a difference between
a real
I'm not
alive foot,
well, there's
yeah.
there's a difference between I'm not freaked out by feet and like you're a little too into this.
Well, it's just like, I don't, like, some people really don't like when people, like, take off their socks in front of them and stuff. Like, they really just don't like feet. I have no problem with that. You know me, I'm barefoot all the time. But, like, that was like, he was really into that foot. You want the foot of the Princess Hermothis? Exclaimed the merchant with a strange giggle, fixing his owlish eyes upon me. For a paperweight? An original idea, an artistic idea. Old Pharaoh would certainly have been surprised, and someone had told him that the foot of his adored daughter would be used for a paperweight after he had a mountain of granite hollowed out as a receptacle for the triple coffin, painted and gilded, covered with hieroglyphics and beautiful paintings of the judgment of souls. Leave the fucking foot alone, dude. Leave the foot alone. Why is it under a triple coffin? Jesus Christ.
This shit's cursed. This shit's cursed.
I
You're about to get haunted, dude. You're gonna bring it home, you're gonna put it on your fucking desk, and you're gonna start hearing footsteps at night, and
you're gonna get sexually assaulted by a evil dead princess
with
mummy.
a foot fetish.
Oh, God. All right. So the little man continued the... Oh. That's hard to pick up from there. And the beautiful paintings of the judgment of souls, continued the queer little merchant, half audibly, as though talking to himself. He's been waiting for someone to come in and buy that thing.
Thank God somebody's gonna take it off my hands.
How much will you charge me for this mummy fragment? Ah, the highest price I can get, for it is a superb piece. If I had the match of it, you could not have it for less than 500 francs. The daughter of a pharaoh. Nothing is more rare. Assuredly, that is not a common article, but still, how much do you want? In the first place, let me warn you that all my wealth consists of just 5 louis. I can buy anything that costs 5 louis, but nothing dearer. You might search my vest pockets and most secret drawers without even finding one poor 5-franc piece more. 5 louis for the foot of the Princess Hermothis? That is very little indeed. 'Tis an authentic foot. It's
I could make 3 times that if I put it up on OnlyFans.
right? It's like, ew. First of all, I love that this place has all these beautiful, like, furniture pieces and brass pieces, and then it just has a random fucking foot. human foot.
Yeah.
'Tis an authentic foot, muttered the merchant, shaking his head and imparting a peculiar rotary motion to his eyes. Well, take it, and I will give you the bandages into the bargain, he added, wrapping the foot in an ancient damask rag. Very fine. Real damask. Indian damask, which has never been redyed. It is strong, and yet it is soft, he mumbled, stroking the frayed tissue with his fingers through the trade-acquired habit which moved him to praise even an object of such little value that he himself deemed it only worth the giving away. So he really wants that fucking thing out of here.
Yeah.
He's like, I'll take 500 francs. The guy's like, I have 5 louis. He goes, okay, and I'll
Deal.
wrap it up for you too. Like, deal. Would you like a complimentary gift wrap? Also, he's sitting there stroking this like wrapped foot. It's such a gross image.
I'm picturing the scene in Love Actually where
where Alan or where Mr. Bean
where
is.
Mr. Bean is wrapping that fucking necklace.
He's like scooping like a
Mistletoe
eucalyptus
and
into
shit.
it and like crushing like berries and
Dip it in yogurt.
All right, so he's stroking the foot and he's gonna give it away. He poured the gold coins into a sort of medieval alms purse hanging at his belt, repeating, "The foot of the Princess Hermothis to be used as a paperweight." This is not going to be good. Then turning his phosphorescent eyes upon me, he exclaimed in a voice strident as the crying of a cat which has swallowed a fishbone. "Oh, Pharaoh, will you not be well pleased? He loved his daughter, the dear man." If someone yelled that at me as I was buying something, I would be out the fucking door so fast.
He's trying to get out the door. He's like, just give me my fucking foot, dude.
But the guy's like...
Quit kink shaming me.
Screaming to the gods that this is going to go bad. "You speak as if you were a contemporary of his. You are old enough, goodness knows." Well, fuck. Now you're making fun of the old man. Damn. "You were old enough, goodness knows, but you do not date back to the pyramids of Egypt," I answered laughingly from the threshold. I went home, delighted with my acquisition. Oh my God. That's just the beginning of the shit that's about to go down. With the idea of putting it to profitable use as soon as possible, I placed the foot of the divine Princess Hermothis upon a heap of papers scribbled over with verses, in themselves an undecipherable mosaic work of erasures, articles freshly begun, letters forgotten, and posted in the table drawer instead of the letterbox, an error to which absent-minded people are particularly liable. The effect was charming, bizarre, and romantic. So he's like, my desk is a fucking shit mess, and now I've put this foot on top of it.
Put this severed foot on it. That'll make it better.
You know what my date's gonna love when I bring her home? It's gonna be like, that's bizarre and romantic. Like,
see all of these letters I never sent? It's okay. I put a foot on them.
well satisfied with this embellishment, I went out with the gravity and pride becoming one who feels he has had the effable advantage over all passerbyers whom he elbows, of possessing a piece of the Princess Hermothis, daughter of the Pharaoh. So now he's like walking around town like,
I'm better than you.
I'm awesome. I'm cool. I'm better than you, dude. I looked upon all who did not possess, like myself, a paperweight so authentically Egyptian as very ridiculous people. It seemed to me that the proper occupation of every sensible man should consist of the mere fact of having a mummy's foot upon his desk. Wow, you jumped, dude.
Everybody who's anybody has a mummified foot on their desk.
This guy is super hipster. He really is. He's like, I only shop at vintage stores, and it has to be something no one's ever seen before. And if you don't have it, you're not cool. But if you get it, then it's not cool anymore. Sorry to offend any hipsters out there. Happily, I met some friends whose presence distracted me in my infatuation with this new acquisition. I went to dinner with them, for I could not very well have dined with myself.
Like a sicko.
Like a loser. When I came back that evening with my brain slightly confused by a few glasses of wine, you are French after all, a vague whiff of oriental perfume delicately titillated my olfactory nerves.
Ooh.
The foot smells good. The heat of the room had warmed the natron, bitumen, and myrrh in which the parasites who cut open the body of the dead had bathed the corpse of the princess. So whatever that word means, it's embalming fluid.
Yep.
It was a perfume of once sweet and penetrating, a perfume that 4,000 years had not been able to dissipate. He's gonna jerk off on this foot. He's already turned on. Listen to him. He's talking about penetrating her perfume foot. Blech. The dream of Egypt was eternity. Her odors have the solidity of granite and endure as long. I soon drank deeply from the black cup of sleep. For a few hours all remained opaque to me, oblivion and nothingness inundated me with their somber waves. Yet light gradually dawned upon the darkness of my mind. Dreams commenced to touch me softly in their silent flight. The eyes of my soul were opened, and I beheld my chamber as it actually was. I might have believed myself awake but for a vague consciousness which assured me that I slept, and that something fantastic was about to take place.
Huh. That was a theme in the last one, too.
Yeah.
About knowing whether or not
you're awake or asleep. Yeah. The odor of the myrrh had augmented in intensity, and I felt a slight headache, which I very naturally attributed to several glasses of champagne from which we had drunk to the unknown gods and our future fortunes. I peered through my room with a feeling of expectation which I saw nothing to justify. Every article of furniture was in its proper place. The lamp, softly shaded by its globe of ground crystal, burned upon its bracket. The watercolor sketches shone under their bohemian glass. The curtains hung down languidly. Everything wore an aspect of tranquil slumber. After a few moments, however, all this calm interior appeared to become disturbed. The woodwork cracked stealthily. The ash-covered log suddenly emitted a jet of blue flame, and the discs of the panteras seemed like great metallic eyes, watching, like myself, for the things which were about to happen.
Suddenly feels like the Red Room in Twin Peaks.
Yeah, the Red Room in Twin Peaks, like anytime, any of these stories where it's like, uh-oh.
The Red Lodge?
It was the Red Room.
It was the Red Room?
Yeah.
It was the Black Lodge.
Yes. Yeah. My eyes accidentally fell upon the desk where I had placed the foot of the Princess Hermothis. Instead of remaining quiet, as behooved a foot which had been embalmed for 4,000 years, it commenced to act in a nervous manner, contracted itself, and leaped over the papers like a startled frog. Ugh.
Okay, this is a dream, though. We know this is a dream.
That's what he thinks. It ain't a dream.
No, this is absolutely happening in reality.
This is absolutely happening.
But
one would have imagined that it had suddenly been brought into contact with a galvanic battery. I could distinctly hear the dry sound made by its little heel, hard as the hoof of a gazelle. I became rather discontented with my acquisition, inasmuch as I wished my paperweights to be of sanitary disposition, and thought it very unnatural that feet should walk around without legs. Then I commenced to experience a feeling closely akin to fear. I think you're already there, dude. I think you're already there. With the second you saw the foot leap and you went, I kind of wish my paperweights just sat there. I think you were already feeling a little bit of fear.
Sir, what you are feeling is referred to colloquially as buyer's remorse.
Suddenly, I saw the folds of my bed curtains stir and heard a bumping sound like that caused by some person hopping on one foot across the floor. I must confess I became alternately hot and cold, that I felt a strange wind chill my back, and that my suddenly rising hair caused my nightcap to execute a leap of several yards.
That's some Mr. Magoo shit.
That's some crazy hair, man.
Like he's
like, boing.
So stressed out that his hair stands straight up, but it does it so rigidly and quickly that his nightcap flies off. Also, he's wearing an Ebenezer Scrooge nightcap.
Well, I actually had the thought when he described like this feeling. It's like what Ebenezer feels when he first wakes up and he can tell there's a ghost in the house, but he hasn't seen it yet.
Yeah.
It's just like that. Something's not right.
In my little bit of research on him, Gautier was actually compared to the French Dickens.
I can see that. Especially with the big words. The bed curtains opened, and I beheld the strangest figure imaginable before me.
A giant foot.
No, it's worse. It was a young girl in a very deep coffee brown complexion and possessing the purest Egyptian type of perfect beauty. Her eyes were almond-shaped and oblique, with eyebrows so black that they seemed blue. Her nose was exquisitely chiseled, almost Greek in its delicacy of outline, and she might indeed have been taken for a Corinthian statue of bronze, but for the prominence of her cheekbones and the fullness of her lips, which compelled one to recognize her as belonging beyond all doubt to the hieroglyphic race which dwelt upon the banks of the Nile. Okay, so now there's just a full fucking woman in his room, and she's hot.
This sexy-ass Egyptian woman just showed up.
I told you, he went to bed, but he was a little drunk, so he's sitting there actually just having a wet dream about this fucking foot lady. Oh, no. Her arms, slender and spindle-shaped like those of young girls, were encircled by a peculiar kind of metal bands and bracelets of glass beads. Her hair was all twisted into little cords, and she wore upon her bosom a little idol figure of green paste, bearing a whip with 7 lashes, which proved to be an image of Isis. Her brow was adorned with a shining plate of gold, and a few traces of paint relieved the coppery tint of her cheeks. As for her costume, it was very odd indeed. Fancy a pang or skirt, all formed little strips of material bedizened with red and black hieroglyphics stiffened with bitumen and apparently belonging to a freshly unbandaged mummy.
Wait. Does she only have one foot? Is she here to get her other foot?
Oh, what story is that? There's a story where it's like one of those old, like, remember those books with the creepy guy in the front? It was like very scary stories before bedtime. Those black and white covers.
Oh, yeah,
there was a story
vaguely.
about like a hand or like a something. There was like I'm having
believe you.
strong memories to like a childhood ghost story Where, yes, the thing, like, keeps knocking on their door, and all it wants is its fucking hand back. Like, oh, I'm gonna have to look that up. But any one of our generation knows those books, so if you know what I'm talking about, write in.
Yeah, Princess Hermothis is just like, bitch, give me my foot back.
Yeah, right? She's like, you took my foot. Of course, was she showing up at the old man's antique shop this whole time looking for her foot? Or is the old man like the keeper of the foot? He's allowed. He's okay.
She trusted him.
Yeah. He is a descendant.
He's the pharaoh's great grandson.
I mean,
or some
he did
shit.
say you're acting like you are like her uncle or something. Yeah. In one of those sudden flights of thought so common in dreams, I heard the hoarse falsetto of the bric-a-brac dealer, repeating like a monotonous refrain the phrase he had uttered in his shop with so enigmatical an intonation. Old Pharaoh will not be pleased. He loved his daughter, the dear man. One strange circumstance, which was not at all calculated to restore my equanimity, was that the apparition had but one foot. The other was broken off at the ankle.
I win.
Yep, she's here to get her fucking foot back.
I would too.
Yeah. She approached the table where the foot was starting and fidgeting about more than ever, and there supported herself upon the edge of the desk. I saw her eyes fill with pearly gleaming tears.
I've missed you, my foot.
I love my foot. Although she had not as yet spoken, I fully comprehended the thoughts which agitated her. Well, yeah, she's walking around without a fucking foot.
Someone cut my fucking foot off.
She looked at her foot, for it was indeed her own, with an exquisitely graceful expression of coquettish sadness. Gee, we're not sexualizing this woman at all.
Or her foot.
Or her foot, which we already knew he had done that. But the foot leaped.
It would be creepier if they had spent all that time sexualizing the foot and then completely ignored the woman.
Yeah, she's like, there is some bitch in my room.
I know.
Don't touch the foot.
She was whatever kind of shit. I didn't really look at her. Although the foot that was still attached to her other ankle.
Also good. So, with an exquisite, graceful expression of coquettish sadness, but the foot leapt and ran hither and thither as though impelled on steel springs. Okay, this is now fucking funny. It's not even scary anymore. It's like this fucking like thing on like a pogo stick just bouncing around the room, and she's just like, I want my foot back.
It's like Peter Pan coming in to chase his shadow.
Yeah, right? Twice or thrice she extended her hand to seize it, but could not succeed. Then commenced between the Princess Hermothis and her foot, which appeared to be endowed with a special life of its own, a very fantastic dialogue in a most ancient Coptic tongue, which, as might have been spoken 30 centuries ago in the centrics of the land of Sir? Whatever. Luckily, I understood Coptic perfectly well that night. So
the way you always do in dreams.
In a dream, or if the TARDIS is close.
Yeah.
So. The Princess Hermothis cried, in a voice sweet and vibrant as the tones of a crystal bell. Well, my dear little foot, you always flee from me, yet I always took good care of you. I'm making her sound like every Disney princess before 1970.
Yep, this is Sleeping Beauty.
I bathed you with perfumed water in a bowl of alabaster. I soothed your heel with a pumice stone mixed with palm oil. Your nails were cut with golden scissors and polished with a hippopotamus tooth. Wow, I need to up my foot care.
Apparently. Who knew hippopotamus tooth was the key?
I mean, shit. I was careful to select tat beds for you, painted and embroidered and turned up at the toes, which were the very envy of all the young girls in Egypt. You wore on your great toe rings bearing the device of the sacred scarabus, and you supported one of the lightest bodies that a lazy foot could sustain. She's like fucking like Snow White.
Yep.
Like, she's like, oh, my foot, why did you leave me? Like, she's like, I never even ate because I didn't want to put any pressure on you. Now all of a sudden I hate this woman. The foot replied in a... Oh, wait, what? I was not prepared for the foot to talk. I was not prepared. Where is this going? This went from, like, a story about antiques to a very kind of scary story to now the funniest fucking thing I've ever...
The foot's gonna start talking. And all I can picture, except that it's not wearing a boot, but all I can picture is like the boot where the sole is flopping, and it looks like.
So where's the mouth of the foot? Is it like where the ankle was cut off? Is it where you're there, or is it like?
Do the toes just split apart? One of the nails.
I don't know. This is really. Oh, not the nails. Ew. Gross. Okay, now what is the voice of the foot going to sound like? Here we go. The foot replied in a pouting and chagrined tone.
So it's going to sound pouting and chagrined.
You know well I do not belong to myself any longer. I have been bought and paid for. The old merchant knew what he was about. He bore you a grudge for having refused to espouse him. This is an ill turn which he has done to you. The Arab man who violated your royal coffin in the subterranean pits of the necropolis of Thebes was sent hither by him. He desired to prevent you from being present at the reunion of the shadowy nations in the cities below. Have you 5 pieces of gold for my ransom? So the old man sent someone to steal this princess's foot so she couldn't go to the dead people family reunion?
Yes.
Cool. All right. And now he
Also,
sold it to this man.
And so in order to exchange ownership, the princess has to give the man 5 gold pieces, which is what he paid for it.
Because it's ransom. Yep.
Also, BT dubs.
The foot is talking?
Well, the foot is talking, sure, but we soared right over major plot point. The merchant who sold the foot
wanted to marry
you
her.
a grudge for having refused to marry him.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So how old is this fucker?
Dude's 3,000 years old.
So he wasn't kidding when he's like, you're old enough. Ha ha ha. And the guy's like, oh shit, he's on to me. So he's a vampire.
Or a mummy, or something else horrifyingly
Or his favorite
cursed.
vintage shop is just run by a dead man. Maybe he's been dreaming the whole time.
Or he really is a witch, which is why they would have burned him at the stake 300 years ago.
And maybe they did.
And they did.
Alas, no. My jewels, my rings, my purses of gold and silver were all stolen from me, answered the Princess Hermothis with a sob. Princess, I then exclaimed, I never retained anybody's foot unjustly.
I never keep a foot without consent.
Has literally become the weirdest Disney movie I've ever thought. I never retained anybody's foot unjustly, even though you have not got the 5 louis which it cost me. I present it to you gladly. I should feel utterly wretched to think that I were the cause of so amiable a person as the Princess Hermothis's being lame. I delivered this discourse in a royally gallant troubadour tone, which I gave him.
Which you gave.
Immediately went to like the princes and into the woods.
Disney prince, yep.
Which must have astonished the beautiful Egyptian girl. She turned a look of deepest gratitude upon me, and her eyes shone with bluish gleams of light. She took her foot, which surrendered itself willingly this time, like a woman about to put on her little shoe, and adjusted it to her leg with much skill. This is the weirdest fucking Cinderella I have ever read. The operation over, she took a few steps about the room, as though to assure herself that she was really no longer lame. Oh, how pleased This my father will be, he who was so unhappy because of my mutilation, and who from the moment of my birth set a whole nation at work to hollow me out a tomb so deep that he might preserve me intact until that last day when souls must be weighed in the balance of a menthe. Come with me to my father. He will receive you kindly, for you have given me back my foot. I thought this proposition natural enough. I arrayed myself in a dressing...
Yes. You just gave me my foot back. Come meet my daddy.
In Egypt, 3,000... Who's dead?
3,000 years ago.
3,000 years ago. Because I'm dead, remember? Okay. I thought this proposition natural enough. I arrayed myself in a dressing gown of large flowered pattern, which lent me a very pharaonic aspect. Hurriedly put on a pair of Turkish slippers and informed the Princess Hermothis that I was ready to follow her.
Looking very Ebenezer Scrooge.
Yep. Before starting, Hermothis took from her neck the little idol of green paste and laid it on the scattered sheets of paper which covered the table. It is only fair, she observed smilingly, that I should replace your paperweight. She gave me her hand, which felt soft and cold, like the skin of a serpent, and we departed. We passed for some time with the velocity of an arrow through a fluid and grayish expanse, in which half-formed silhouettes flitted swiftly by us to left and right. For an instant, we saw only sky and sea. A few moments later, obelisks commenced to tower in the distance. Pylons and vast flights of steps guarded by sphinxes became clearly outlined against the horizon. We had reached our destination.
You have reached your destination.
So this really is like Ebenezer Scrooge flying over the city of London, or Peter Pan taking them to Neverland.
Absolutely.
Like, hold on to my hand. I wonder if he had to hold on to her foot. No, he took her hand.
He took her hand.
He did take her hand. Yeah.
Or it's the
or Bedknobs and Broomsticks.
The kid on the Polar Express.
Yes, or Bedknobs and Broomsticks when they twist the thing. It's like everything kind of happened kind of fast, and then we arrived. Hermothis kindled a torch and led the way before me. Dude, this is stupid. We traversed corridors hewn through the living rock. These walls, covered with hieroglyphics and paintings of allegorical processions, might have well occupied thousands of arms for thousands of years in their formation. These corridors of interminable length opened into square chambers, in the midst of which pits had been contrived, through which we descended by cramp irons or spiral stairways. These pits, again, conducted us into other chambers, opening into other corridors, likewise decorated with painted sparrowhawks, serpents coiled in circles, the symbols of the Tau and the Pendum, prodigious works of art which no living eye can ever examine, interminable legends of granite which only the dead have time to read through all eternity. Wow, dude, you're going down a deep, dark maze under a fucking pyramid. This is not good.
Not great, although in fairness, if there was a part of my brain going, you know you're dreaming, right? I'd probably have said yeah.
I mean, it's cool as fuck. I mean, like, yeah, as this person that I'm pointing to right now, which is me, who really wants to go to Egypt. What I really want to go to is ancient Egypt and see all that shit. So, at last we found ourselves in a hall so vast, so enormous, so immeasurable that the eye could not reach its limits. Files of monstrous columns stretched far out of sight on every side, between which twinkled livid stars of yellowish flame, points of light which revealed further depths incalculable in the darkness beyond. The Princess Hermothis still held my hand and graciously saluted the mummies of her acquaintances. My eyes became accustomed to the dim twilight, and objects became discernible. I beheld the kings of the subterranean races seated upon thrones, grand old men through dry, withered, wrinkled like parchment, and blackened with naphtha and bitumen, all wearing sheets of gold and breastplates and gorgets glittering with precious stones, their eyes immovably fixed like the eyes of sphinxes, and their long beards whitened by the snow of centuries. Behind them stood their people, in the stiff and constrained postures adjoined by Egyptian art, all eternally preserved the attitude prescribed by the hieratic code. Behind these nations, the cats, ibixes, and crocodiles contemporary with them, rendered monstrous by aspect by their swathing bands, mewed, flapped their wings, or extended their jaws in a saurian giggle. All the pharaohs were there. And then just so you know, there's like 5 names that I'm not going to say out loud. All the dark rulers of the pyramids and syraxes. On yet higher thrones sat Kronos and Zitharos, who was contemporary with the deluge, and Tubal-Cain, who reigned before it. The beard of King Zitharos had grown 7 times around the granite table upon which he leaned, lost in deep reverie and buried in dreams. Farther back through dusty clouds, I beheld dimly the 72
Pre-Adamite.
The 72 pre-Adamite kings, with their 72 peoples forever passed away. After permitting me to gaze upon this bewildering spectacle a few moments, the Princess Hermothis presented me to her father, Pharaoh. Wow, already meeting the dads.
He moves quick.
Damn, boy. He was like, I got a fetish for this foot, and then she showed up, and now I'm meeting her dad. And this all happened in like 12 hours. This is good shit. That's when he went out and strutted around town. He's like, I'm better than everybody else.
Apparently he is.
He really is. Hermothis presented me to her father, Pharaoh, who favored me with a most gracious nod. I have found my foot again! I have found my foot! Cried the princess, clapping her little hands together with every sign of frantic joy. It was this gentleman who restored it to me. All of the pharaohs, all black, bronzed, and copper-colored nations repeated in chorus, the Princess Hermothis has found her foot again! Even Zitharos himself was visibly affected. He raised his heavy eyelids, stroked his mustache with his fingers, and turned upon me a glance weighty with centuries. By arms, the dog of hell and Temi, daughter of the sun and of truth, this is a brave and worthy lad, exclaimed Pharaoh, pointing to me with his scepter, which was terminated with lotus flower. What recompense do you desire? Now he gets wishes? Jesus,
Sweet.
This is the best dream ever. Now we're in Aladdin. This is cool because we're underground and they're getting him wishes.
In the Cave of Wonders.
Yes. Filled with that daring inspired by dreams in which nothing seems impossible, I asked for him the hand of Princess Hermothis.
Well, sure. She just got her foot back.
Yeah.
She can do without a hand.
Yeah, can I take the hand instead? I'm really into these, like, cut-off limbs. The hand seemed to me a very proper, antithetic recompense for the foot. So, yes, I gave her foot. I'll take her hand. Pharaoh opened wide his great eyes of glass in astonishment at my witty request. What country do you come from? What is your age? I am a Frenchman. I am 27 years old, venerable Pharaoh. 27 years old? And he wishes to espouse the Princess Hermothis, who is 30 centuries old, cried out at once all the thrones and all the circles of nations. Only Hermothis herself did not seem to think my request unreasonable. If you were even only 2,000 years old, replied the ancient king, I would willfully give you the princess, but this This disproportion is too great. And besides, we must give our daughters husbands who will last well. You do not know how to preserve yourself any longer. Even those who died only 15 centuries ago are already no more than a handful of dust. Behold, my flesh is solid as basalt. My bones are bones of steel. For the first time in history, the man is too young for the woman.
And Dad's going,
And Dad's like,
you don't know how to take care of yourself. Kids these days.
kids these days, people these days.
I'm 3,000 years older than you. Look at me. Like a rock.
Ha ha! Literally, basalt is a rock.
That thwopping sound was
It was
me
you hitting
hitting my
yourself.
abs.
I will present on the last day of the world with the same body and the same features which I had during my lifetime. My daughter Hermothis will last longer than a statue of bronze. Then the last particles of your dust will be scattered abroad by the winds, and even Isis herself, who was able to find the atoms of Osiris, would scarce be able to recompense your being. See how vigorous I yet remain, and how mighty in my grasp, he added, shaking my hand in the English fashion, with a strength that buried my rings into the flesh of my fingers. That's a good dad handshake right there. That's what that is. It's
Yep.
like, I'm gonna fucking kill you. He squeezed me so hard that I awoke and found my friend Alfred shaking me by the arm to get me up. Oh, you everlasting sleeper, must I have you carried out in the middle of the street and fireworks exploded in your ears? It is afternoon. Don't you recollect your promise to take me with you to see M. Arguado's Spanish pictures? Oh, God, I forgot all about that, I answered, dressing myself hurriedly. We will go there at once. I have the permit laying there on my desk. I started to find it, but fancy my astonishment when I beheld, instead of the mummy's foot I had purchased the evening before, the little green paste idol left in its place by the Princess Hermothis. The end. Ooh!
That was a fun one.
That one took some fucking turns.
That was weird.
So then we were in, like, Wizard of Oz at the end.
Yeah.
It's like, he wakes up and it was all technically a dream, but there's stuff from that world.
Yeah. Well, or the Polar Express, because
The bell.
it was all a dream, but he still has the bell.
Yep.
Or Krampus,
When your whole family died. What?
because it was all a dream,
But
but they still have
they're
that
in the
bell.
snow globe. Yeah.
They still have that bell.
Yeah. Ooh.
I actually have questions about the ending of Krampus.
Well, the movie?
yes.
Yes.
Because
Well, I think they're dead. They're in the they've been captured and put in like their perfect little house globe.
so that is one
Or
possible
they've
ending.
always been in the house globe.
The other one is they actually came back. They are alive and they get to live their lives now.
Mhm.
And that snow globe is Krampus's security camera.
Oh.
He's watching them
Oh. In case they
in case they fuck up again.
Wow, okay. I like that. Sorry for that tangent, y'all. If you haven't seen Krampus with fucking Adam Scott and
Go check it out. It's great.
It's who's the actress? She's fabulous. Done a bunch of Broadway too.
Oh, Toni Collette?
Toni Collette, thank you. I was like, Jesus. Yeah, so if you haven't seen that Krampus, go watch it. It's actually a really fun, good movie.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, that was like every fairy tale
That did some
from my childhood all wrapped into like a story.
crazy twisty turny genre jumping stuff.
I had no idea where that was going.
No.
I honestly thought he was going to be dragged down to the underworld at the end. Apparently he was, but he got to come back because Dad didn't approve.
Dad was like, "What do you want? Anything in the world. Name it. I want to marry your daughter. Get fucked."
Get the fuck out of here, dude. He could have walked out of there with like treasure and like fucking enough wealth for the rest of his damn life. Instead, he asked for a girl. So the moral of the story is don't get obsessed with a foot.
Yeah.
Don't become infatuated with a foot that you blow your chance at coming back with the Cave of Wonders treasure. Yeah, that's all. Don't try and marry a 3,000-year-old Egyptian princess. These are good morals.
Yeah, it's just the age gap. It's just the age gap.
Yeah, you really gotta, 1,000 years at the most.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything more than that is pretty unreasonable.
It's true. It's true.
So, this week, when you write into Campfire Classics podcast, either by using any of our social media or by emailing 5050artsproduction@gmail.com, let us know what you thought of the story. Let us know if you can explain how a snake's everything hole works. And if you were suddenly granted any prize you wanted by a 3,000-year-old pharaoh, what would you ask for?
Yeah.
That's what I want to know. And when you write in, go ahead and use this week's secret passcode, which is the age gap.
The age gap.
Yeah, that's everything I have for this week.
Yeah,
you got anything to add?
That was great. You're gonna have to edit that together because there were a lot of big words in there, y'all.
That was a wild one.
There were French words and big words.
And Egyptian places.
And Egyptian words and Egyptian names.
Yeah.
And so enjoy.
Yay. Cool. Well, I hope you enjoyed that one. We'll be back next week. And until then, this has been Campfire Classics, where we try to read those books that look really good on your shelf.
Walk like an Egyptian, which apparently means you hop around on one foot looking for your foot for all eternity. Hop, hop. Hop, hop.